Hey friends, have you been enjoying learning about space? I have. The other day we made our little rocket, didn't we? But is this what rockets really look like? It's not real, isn't it? Just pretend. This is what we might imagine a rocket or a spaceship might look like. But today I want to talk to you about something that's really in space right now and where there are some real astronauts really living. It's called the International Space Station. I wonder if you've ever heard of that before. I want to show you the International Space Station. Now this is what it looked like when it was first built. So in 1998, I think about 23 years ago, in 1998, that's when they started to bring the first parts up into space, because they couldn't bring the whole thing up at once. They had to break it into lots of pieces. They had to bring up the pieces by rockets, one piece at a time. This is what it looked like at the start. This is what it looks like now. So it's much bigger, isn't it? So it took them 2 whole years, from 1998 to the year 2000. It took them all that time to bring up a whole lot of pieces so it was big enough for astronauts to live in. So they started building it in 1998, and then in the year 2000, in November, that's when the first astronauts went up to live on the space station. Have a look. Looks very long, doesn't it? Now the space inside is about the same space as a house with 5 big bedrooms. So if you imagine your house or your apartment, like my house here, we've got 2 bedrooms. So there's a lot more space in the International Space Station than there is at our house. Maybe you live in a very big house. Maybe it's got the same amount of space as your house does. But it's about the same space as a house with 5 big bedrooms. So it's got a lot of space. But do you know how many people are up there right now? There are 7 astronauts living in there right now. So it needs to have a lot of space because they need space to sleep, they need space to eat, they need space to do their science experiments. Because a lot of the space station is actually science laboratories. There are science laboratories from the United States of America, from Japan, from Russia, and from Europe. So from all different countries. That's why we call it the International Space Station. International means lots and lots of different countries working together. So it's really special because lots of countries around the world, they're all helping each other. They're all coming together and they're all working together. It's really special. Do you notice these sticks out the side? They're called solar arrays. Do you remember we talked about solar power? Do you remember what solar power means? It means electricity from the sun. The space station, do you think you can plug the space station into the power lines? No, there wouldn't be a long enough cord. So the space station has to get its own electricity. Well, luckily, they've got some really clever people. They've made some big solar arrays that can be moved and changed, and they can always make sure they're getting enough electricity from the sun. Isn't that amazing? So when they're up there, they do lots of science experiments. That's why the International Space Station is very important. So that's why at the moment they ask lots of questions and they try to find answers. So they're asking a lot of questions like, what happens to people when they're living in space? How can people live in space? Maybe how can plants grow in space? That's something they're looking at right now. I can show you. Because right now they are doing some experiments with some capsicums, I think, and some peppers. They're seeing what happens when they grow them, and they're trying to work out ways that they can grow plants in space. Why do you think they might want to grow plants in space, do you think? Well, we eat plants, don't we? So if people are going to ever live in space and go on long space journeys, it would be very important if we can eat our own food, if we can grow food and then we can eat it, because vegetables are very, very healthy for us. Now, I want to show you as well, I'm going to link this video in the Storypark. This is one of the real astronauts on the space station, and I'm just going to show you a tiny bit so you get an idea she gives you a bit of a tour.
I'm up here on the International Space Station. Now, I'm going to say where we are. So right now, we're in the Japanese laboratory. It's one laboratory out of many here on the International Space Station. It's actually on the left-hand.
So do you see? She's floating in there, isn't she? That's because there's still gravity, but there's only a tiny, tiny bit of gravity when she's in there. So when you're in space, you can float around. So you can see her hair, it looks a little bit like she's swimming under the water. There you go. It's really clever. So if you watch this video, this astronaut, she's really very brave and she's very clever and she's doing all sorts of science. So she's going to show you she's going to give you a tour of the International Space Station so you can see a little bit what it's really like. You might learn some interesting facts. So I'll put that link in Storypark. Now, while you're doing that, I wonder if maybe you might try to learn 1 or 2 special facts. Now, a fact is something that you know about something. So a fact about me is my name is Jim. Another fact about me is I am a kindergarten teacher. So they're 2 facts about me. A fact about our kindergarten might be our kindergarten is in Carlton. That's a fact. So I want you to try and think of 2 facts that you might learn from this video or from having a look at the website that I'm putting up. See if you can learn 2 facts and see if you can share them on Storypark with us. Because then if we all work together, a little bit like the astronauts on the International Space Station, if we all work together, then maybe we can all learn a whole lot of things. So I'm excited to see what your 2 facts are. You might have to get Mum or Dad to help you write them, but that's okay. And you can leave them as a comment on our Storypark lesson. And we can look at the comments and we can all learn a whole lot of facts about the International Space Station. Thank you for the lesson. I hope you enjoyed this one. I think there's some kindergarten kids who are going to love some of these videos. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.